Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week we will be discussing Coming to America, the long-awaited, highly anticipated sequel to the 1988 film starring Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, where they reprise their characters from the original film. I got the soul. That was my ode to sexual chocolate, just in case you were wondering. Tammy, how did you like Coming to America?
I don't even know what to say after that amazing intro. Like, how can I follow that with anything? Like, I feel like we should just end the podcast now.
What? And deprive the listeners of more to come? Like, I can't sing, and I feel like I have the voice perfect for the band Sexual Chocolate, and that
I told you do.
So, I figured I would share. I'm channeling. The Grammys are coming up, so I'm just channeling my musical abilities this episode. So, what did you think?
I'm sorry. Coming to America was as fun as that intro was from Eddie, y'all. It was. I definitely enjoyed it. It was very nostalgic. It's one of my favorite movies is Coming to America, the first one. So, I was definitely entertained. So yeah, it was really good.
It was. I enjoyed it. I don't know. Like once I heard they were remaking it, and sometimes you think about when sequels are not, it's very rare that a sequel can compare to the first one. So I've learned over the years to lower my expectations for sequels, first of all. But especially when there's so much time that has passed between the original and the sequel, it's like, oh, okay. So I was excited, but I kind of tempered my expectations. And I must admit, when I watched it, it was there were parts that were just like laugh out loud funny. Like, it was better than I thought it was going to be. And I love the fact that it didn't take itself too seriously. And so I like the throwback to the original movie. Like, there's a lot of cute throwbacks to the original. So, and it was one of my favorites. And of course, we already know how I feel about Sexual Chocolate.
Yeah, like, I also did like that they referenced the first movie. There were some things that were a little off about it. But I liked how progressive it was as well. Like, I think it was very much of this time. And so the jokes actually were funny. Like, it wasn't like they were making jokes for, I guess, joke's sake, or doing like cliche jokes maybe, or having cliche like scenes, but they were actually like funny jokes. Because a lot of times I feel like comedy nowadays is not like, oh my God, that's hilarious. It's more like, that's cute. Like, comedy has changed a lot. So I guess Eddie Murphy's comedy is still the same. So that's good to know.
Yeah, I did. I agree with you. And there, Eddie Murphy and his comedy, he came under some scrutiny, this era of cancel culture, which on one hand I understand, and on the other hand I'm like, we can't look at everything through the lens of 2021. He was under a lot of heat for Raw, which is over one of his classic stand-ups from over 30 years ago. And it's raunchy, and the jokes that he told in Raw, they were controversial for the days back in the 90s. But now, the jokes haven't necessarily aged well, some of them. But so you can't always look at everything through that lens. But I do like the fact that there was when he went back to New York and he told them, I'm sorry. He was like, I'm sorry, you can no longer just walk up and indiscriminately touch a woman wherever you want to.
Yeah. When he went to the barbershop.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, they were aware of the changing times, and I did like that. Um, I love that they, even though in real world, all those old men from the barbershop, they were knocking on death's door in the 1988 movie. It's like they haven't aged a day for this movie.
They would have been dead by now.
Yeah, but it was a cute throwback because they were the people in the barbershop, they were some of the standouts of the original movie. So um, maybe now we're dealing with their grandkids. They're I don't know, but I I kind of wish I loved Leslie Jones's character. She was funny. Um, but I kind of wish they would have focused a little bit more on the daughters and her quest to become the new queen.
Well, but I think that the reason why is because he also threw his daughters to the side. So technically, the movie threw the daughters to the side, just like, Hakeem like threw his daughters to the side as well. So they did not become significant until she finally made up with her brother. Even I'm like, yeah, dude just came in and didn't even take into consideration that he was taking your place. But but made up with him and helped him with the whole lion whiskers thing. But other than that, I can see why it wasn't focused. And I guess that's one thing, is that the storyline was so focused on his long lost son that there was no extra focus on his family or how his life had been in Zamunda. It was kind of like, oh, okay, now I have grown kids, and we're just gonna move on and look for this lost son of mine. There's no background. There was no background really on his family or on getting to the point of the movie where they started, kind of thing.
Yeah. Which made me feel like more than a sequel, it was a low-key reboot or low-key spin-off or something. I guess if they were going to continue to tell the story, I don't know. But and to me, that was a little disappointing. I get where you're picking up, but I don't know, maybe from my 2021 mindset, and I was like, you're not gonna request a DNA test, you just gonna go back.
Yo, you saw that too? Yo, I wrote that down big. I said, DNA test? No, we just gonna accept this. And she wasn't even sure. She was like, yeah, that's a possibility. He was just like, all right, you my long lost son. Let's go. I'm gonna make you a prince. You about to be king of Zamunda. I'm just like, for real, dude.
Thank you. Especially when she said, it's a possibility because I was a hoe right back in the day.
Yeah, she admitted that she slept around.
So I was just like, yo, homeboy, I know Hakeem was a little naive in the first one. Going back home in shelter, it looks like you're still very naive, but homie, no one is going to request y'all just going to go by the Lion King soothsayer dude who says, oh, you have a son. I've seen it in the ashes. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Follow the Thunderbird. Follow the Thunderbird.
That's what got him in the trouble in the first place. Following that damn Thunderbird and Bad Dog 2020.
Oh goodness! I did I thought that was really off. I was just like, did they get a DNA test off screen or how that went? And then I agree. To be. To marry Lisa, and I mean Lisa was a New York, she was from New York, she was from Queens, so she knew the world, and then his kids did as well. But to have him be still so naive and so sheltered, just seemed way off. Because if you're going to marry outside of your country, then obviously you're bringing some progression to your country in some way, shape, or form. So I was just like, wait, so Lisa just allowed you to continue with your naivety? She just let you be with because that was on the verge of being stupid, kind of thing, on how he still didn't know anything, still didn't know anything whatsoever. Still had these mindset about Queens in a way, or about America in a way. Yeah, I thought that was a little off on the progressive way that they presented other issues in the movie, to still keep him in that mindset 20 years later just was really off.
I know. I mean, just ask Prince Harry about waking up to the ways of the world when you marry an outsider.
Exactly.
We ain't gonna...
like there is no way you're gonna stay in where you don't know anything of the world and you married a woman from New York City. Like, come on now. That don't seem... I can understand if you married her from like, some $2 town in the Midwest or something like that, but she's from New York City, like the largest city in the world. Come on now.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole that was off to me. I'm like, so at no point in time, no one is gonna ask for this homeboy. You're not gonna take a lock of that hair. You just gonna believe this dude.
Especially not you. He ain't even look like you. Like there was not even a comment on the fact that he looked like you. He ain't even look like you. So you just automatically was just like, yeah, this my dude right here. This my son.
Yeah. I think there was something, I want to say there was a slight scene, a blink and you miss it moment where they had like similar mannerisms. And I guess we were supposed to catch on to that. Like, oh, this is my son. But I was just like, yo. And even him, he was reluctant at first. Lavelle was very reluctant at first until that briefcase spilled open. He saw the money and then he saw Hakeem's face on the money and the gold bars. And he's like, oh, hey, Pops, what's up?
And but then that was also kind of forgotten as well. Like, they went through the whole being amazed at all this money and stuff like that, but like he wasn't about to go with you to Zamunda until you showed him all that money. So another thing is, you wasn't even a suspect about that. Like, you just let him roam the palace and like there was no like investigation into how he'd been living his life. Like, nothing. Like, what kind of royalty are you? Like, I didn't have an investigation, finding out what his past was like, what he did, who he was with, who his friends were. And another thing is, he ain't had no friends. He ain't had no friends. The only people he had, literally, because you realize when he got married, he ain't have no friends, right?
He had Uncle Reem. Like, Uncle Reem was the only played by Tracy Morgan.
No friends. Like that don't seem right. That don't seem right.
He also grew up in a very sheltered life. He had his family. That is all he needed. Okay.
In New York City, let's not play that game. In New York City, he would at least one best friend or a really good friend that he chilled with on a regular basis. Like, come on now. Like that.
Well, see, everything happened so quickly that we saw him on the day of his job interview. Then that night he went home and he found out he was a prince. He barely had time to call Ray and let him know that he was packing up and going to Zamunda. And
he ain't had no friends. Let's be honest. He ain't had no friends.
And then when he went back home, he introduced his honey dip to his friends on the low. We didn't see that part. The movie was only about 90 minutes. There's so much that the friends ended up on the cutting room floor. There you go. Stop rolling your eyes at me.
So he didn't have no friends. And he wasn't an ugly dude, but he ain't have no friends. He ain't had no like girl that he was talking to at the moment. He hung out with his mom and his old ass uncle and his mom's old ass friends, the only ones who came to celebrate his birthday. I was just like that. Like, in certain things that like people can say I'm nitpicking, but that just seemed a little off to me.
Well,
that he ain't have like nobody to like. I told you. Nobody. Like it was just it was sad. It was such a sad thing. And then he brought him over, and then was just automatically threw his daughter to the side, like, oh yeah, I ain't gonna do what I said I was gonna do and change the law and make you queen. Like, nah, I'm just gonna roll with this new son, and I'm not gonna talk to you about it and see how you feel or nothing like that. Like, no, you just gonna deal with it because I'm king. And that, like, it was that kind of stuff that like really irked me, because even through that, she still helped him, and and everything like that. And I'm just like, and you threw your daughter to the side, like, not up in here.
And yeah, and that I that irked me too. Like I was like, okay. Um, but I also another part that irked me is when Lavelle they did go to Zamunda. It was never really about he and Akeem bonding, or him and the rest of the family bonding, like getting to know. Like you get the hint, you get the idea that he and the youngest one bonded more off screen because she helped with the testing, but it's like never really got to know him, like who he was, like you said, what he did in New York. It was just like, oh, you're my son, okay, now come learn everything about Zamunda and I'm gonna make you a prince. But we never really got to know, like you said, we never really got to see them bond as father and son. So there were some plot holes, there were some holes, and if you examine them too closely, you could drive an 18-wheeler through
them. But overall, I do think it was a good movie. I like the fact of like I said before, it wasn't cliche. It wasn't ghetto cliches. Like even with Leslie Jones' character, which she was funny on the fact of her and Lisa ended up bonding, and she got Lisa like real drunk and everything like that. Like that was great that like it wasn't automatic where Lisa's gonna hate her and try to destroy her or something like that. Like it was like, I'm very iffy because I don't know who you are, and I'm gonna get to know you though, and I'm gonna give you a chance. And that's exactly what she did. Like I felt like she acted like a normal female rather than these TV female characters that they like to put out there, like we're all against each other and we're all gonna fight each other and everything like that. So I did like that. I thought that was very refreshing. It wasn't really infighting within the family. Like it was just like, we got to get to know you in order to see who you are before we just fully embrace you. And I did like that, because Lisa rapping with Leslie Jones, I was like, what was her name? Mary? Was it Mary?
Yeah,
Lisa and Mary just rapping and getting down with it. I was just like, all right, girls, go ahead.
Oh yeah, but when Mary, the first time Mary went in her closet, she's like, we family. She's like, I don't know you, and stay out of my closet. Like, like okay. But I did, and she was suspect at first, especially considering the way that you got pregnant. We're just gonna skip over the questionable rape.
Yeah, like you drugged him.
Yeah, like. And you took, like him recalling that, he was like, I never had sex, I was a virgin. There was this big, what did he call it, a big bull, and
they came on and just started riding me. He was just like, oh, what?
And he was like, Simi, and everyone was like, this has Simi written all over it.
He'd be the only one. He'd be the only one to do that nonsense.
So yeah, but I did like that. I liked that there wasn't that typical, oh, I'm going to destroy you in fighting thing. And I liked that they did eventually, once they got to know each other, once she realized, hey, and she kind of had that connection, that reconnection back home. And that was one of the things she said when they left. It's like, I finally had a friend, someone who was like my friend, like my people. Like it wasn't all about me being a princess or the future queen. It was actually someone that reminded me back home. So I get that. So I guess that kind of plays into what you were saying about Homeboy not having any friends. But I did like that relationship, and I really like Mary. And one of my favorite scenes is when she was taking that bath.
Well, okay, so the one thing is that when he came in to like talk to her, I was just like, how many she got down there though? Like you automatically knew that she had some under the water, doing some stuff. And I was just
that
like,
she was getting,
yeah, like she was getting clean as well. And I'm just like, and he didn't even think of that. Like he having a full conversation, and she's just like, you go ahead and you get yourself washed. You go ahead and you enjoy yourself, because you are a prince. You are a prince. And then he bounced out, and I was like, your privates are cleaned. Let's try that one more time. Like she was taking full advantage of being a prince's mom, like living. She's like, hey,
I'm all about this life, and hey, I can't blame her. If I had a fine ass man wanting to bathe me, come on, scrub away. I'd go roll around in the mud just to get. Let me stop. Okay. Um, I one of the things I love, also, I love the costumes. Ruth Carter, who won an Oscar for Black Panther, she did the costume design for Black Panther. She also did the costume design for Coming to America. So I love the clothing. I love the costumes. And one of my favorites is the one that Tiana Taylor wore on her introduction when we met her, and they sung that beautiful Prince song. She played Wesley Snipes' daughter, and Wesley Snipes played General Izzy. And may we just say that he had one of the best movie introductions.
I'm telling you, when I go back to work, I'm walking down the hallway, leaning to the side with my cane, just going for it. Just going for it. Everybody just cleared away as I walk down the hallway. Celebrate.
You're gonna go back through like that 70s, 80s pimp.
I don't care what it was called, but that was an entrance. That was an entrance that he had. I loved it. And then he had like the whole oh my God, I forgot the comedian's name who played who did his introduction or whatever like that. And it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then he just rolled down like, yeah, that's me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, oh my God, the second time when he he held his nutsack, to let people know that that was him that they were talking about. And I was just like, oh my, Wesley Snipes was the MVP of the movie. I will say that. He was the MVP of Coming to America. Definitely the MVP. Nobody else was as funny or as great of a character as his character was for that movie. Definitely enjoyed that.
And I like I said, one of the throwbacks is he played Vanessa Bell Calloway's brother. In the original movie, she was the one that Akeem was supposed to marry. And he told her, it was funny when you think about it, from that one scene where he told her, okay, where she was like, I'll do whatever you want. And he was like, bark like a dog. And 30 years later, she's still barking like a dog, waiting for him to tell her to stop. And I was like, and so he's like, can you lift the dog curse on my sister now? And I'm like, what? So I thought that was funny. And I love, on one hand, it was progressive, and in a lot of ways it was like, okay, the women in his family were progressive, and maybe that was because of Lisa being their mom and being from Queens. He taught them how to fight. He taught them how to, and I guess at one point he maybe really thought he was going to change the law and make her queen.
Well, you could tell he did say that, when the groomer was, when the woman who ends up marrying Lavelle, when she was talking about, she was just like, every prince talks about how, was it her or was it the sister? I think it was her. Every prince talks about changing, the laws when they start to rule, and then everything just always stays the same. Yeah, it was when they were talking about her opening up her own shop, because it was also illegal for a woman to own a business. So while you were progressive, you also was very backwards on a lot of things as well, because women still couldn't own certain businesses. His daughter couldn't be queen of Zamunda over some law that he promised to change and then decided not to change. And once he found that he had a son, I was just like, what? But it makes sense, because that kind of is reality. On, you say a lot of good stuff, and isn't that like how our presidents go? You make a lot of promises and then you become president and you never do anything to fulfill your promises.
Yeah, especially if you're from one particular party, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, they were, and also, again, I know that General Izzy, his family came from the neighboring kingdom, but they were really, really, really stuck in the Stone Ages, because, his daughter was even like, what was her name? Bagoto? Bapato. We're just going to call her B.
I don't know, but yeah, but
she was played by She was played by Tiana Taylor, and she was quote unquote promised to Lavelle. Lavelle got so caught up in the whole majesty and pageantry of being a prince that he agreed to marry this girl within 30 seconds of meeting her, and realized that, oh gosh, maybe it's more than just a pretty face and having someone do exactly what I say. Because it's like, he said, I'll be right back. And she stood there. What did she say? She's been staying there for the last hour, almost 2 hours waiting
for him to come back and tell her to move.
And I was like, oh, fuck no. Like, yeah, that would never happen. But, so I was just like, okay, you've raised these progressive women, these 3 girls, but the rest of the women in your country are just as backwards. So, I was like, okay. And I love the throwback to when they went to, there's no way. When they were in Queens, when Lavelle took his girlfriend back to Queens.
Who the heck is getting married in that crack house church? By that crackhead pastor. I was like, yo, no way.
No way. What did she say? She said, he's like, I know this isn't quite what you imagined. She goes, what? I've always imagined being married by a misogynist, bigoted crackhead.
Exactly. I mean, and one thing I do love is that when they did fall for each other, like, she was all in. Like, he was all in and she was all in. And that was a great thing. Like, he was just like, let's build our own home, let's do our own thing. And she was just like, yes, let's go. And she went trusting him that, we gonna do this together. And then she ended up at a crack house church to get married. But she was still ride or die though. She was still ride or die with him at a crackhead church.
On a Tuesday. So like that song, it's going down.
I mean, like, if that's the case,
Tuesday,
you could have went to a priest at a Catholic church. All Catholic churches are open on Tuesday. Stop it.
Thank you. Or you know what? It would have done you one better if Uncle Reem would have just pulled up the Google and got ordained.
Got ordained.
What, 20?
And did the marriage himself. You sure right.
Like, there's so many other alternatives to, because you know me, you call me bougie, and I think this is a time where I might have had to prove you right, but I would have been like, homeboy, I love you, but there's no way in hell. Like, if we can't do better than this.
I'd be like, there's no way I'm getting married in a crackhead church.
It's like, dude, this is 2 steps above a crack house. Like,
the dust in it, oh my God, like, it was dirty, like, and you just knew that pastor wasn't really a pastor. Like, I was about to say, I thought for a minute that, like, his hose was about to come out and, start servicing people or something like that. Like,
I know, from the original, like in the original, it was like, you haven't been rated yet. Like, they're still allowing you to preach.
I was like, oh Lord.
Dude, it's like, you were problematic in the 80s, so unchecked 30 years later, oh my God. But yeah, that was funny to me. I was like, no. And then when Hakeem came, he was like, okay, let's do this. And I'm like, really? Like, you like, really, dude?
Like, you ain't gonna be like, look, I'm a king of an African country. I am sure I can find y'all a location that will open up just for you.
Like, let's call this a Zamunda embassy. Let's call a New York diplomat.
Yeah, they could have got married at the Zamunda embassy.
Like, we can get the mayor down here. We can get even Beyonce. Like homeboy, you're the heir to the Zamunda. You're one of the heirs to Zamunda. There's no way in hell that I am going to allow this to happen. Even if we're going to do a big party back in Zamunda later, there's no way in hell that you're going to tell the story of this being your original wedding. No, it's not happening. But yeah, that was some ride or die love. I did like seeing Tracy Morgan, him making his comeback, after his accident that he had a few years ago. So anytime I get to see him in something, I
not a fan, but yeah, sure.
Even though it seems like he does play the same character pretty much,
because he
or
can't
some
act.
hybrid or
Because he can't act. So because he cannot act, of course he's going to play the same role because that is him. He's just playing himself in a movie with just different names. They just give him a different name and be like, here's your lines, but he can't act.
And today we see that Tammy is in her suffer no fools type of mood.
I mean, come on, like what? Okay, name a movie where you saw him act differently than this movie. Exactly. None.
When he played the crackhead on Martin.
Seriously. A crackhead?
Look, you're gonna make me pull up the Tracy Morgan discography or filmography, but that wasn't the whole purpose of it. I was just saying that I like seeing him on a comeback. I never watched this. I never watched 30 Rock, so I can't tell you how he did on
He's
30
the same
Rock.
way.
But oh, okay. So now you're making me pull up like his thing, and I don't know, because I like I said, I just like seeing him.
I mean, it's great that he is, like acting with quotations again. But yeah, I can't name one movie where he wasn't acting like Tracy Morgan, which is how he acts in every single movie. That's why he's cast. He's cast for his personality, for how he normally is. He doesn't actually want to, be an actor. He's just cast in roles because he's funny.
We're going to cast him in a dramatic film and give him a chance to show
who's going to cast him in a dramatic film?
We'll talk about it.
You funny. Anyway.
But like I said, I did love seeing Leslie Jones. She was funny. I didn't know she was going to be in it. Like I said, I knew the original cast, but they kept this movie pretty secretive. Like, they didn't even release the trailer for this until like the Super Bowl was the first legit trailer you got for the movie. So it was pretty tight-lipped about a lot of the people in the movie, and I knew Wesley Snipes was going to be in it, but I didn't know the role that he was going to play. I did like seeing James Earl Jones, one of the throwbacks to Black cinema, and of course always the original voice of Darth Vader, Luke, I am your father.
You're on a roll today.
I know, and I'm telling you, quit rolling your eyes at me. Like, whenever you do that, I know you're like, okay, and you're saying you do.
I was just about to say, like, it's kind of like me saying you do you, boo, without actually having to say it anymore, because you know what I'm saying. So you do you, boo,
and you're just rolling your eyes like, okay, or you're giving me that look like, that look you give me, but that's okay. We're lucky I'm confident in myself and who I am, because it's not, y'all. You would give me a complex, like, for real. But
oh wait. So another thing that I did notice and I really, really loved, like, and people were talking about it on Twitter, is how they were representing African nations through fashion. So what they was wearing, because I didn't know that it was the same costume designer from Black Panther. So now, like, it kind of makes sense. But the fashion that they were wearing, especially Mika and Lavelle, was representing different African countries, the colors of these countries. So I just thought, like, that was a great thing, because the fashion was on point. I mean, I know you mentioned it before, but the fashion was on point, because I loved you know what? I never found out what the woman's name was, but Lavelle's wife, her wedding dress, girl.
Her name is Marimbe. Yeah, her wedding.
I was like, take up the whole aisle. Take up the whole aisle. She did her, like, beautiful dress. Lisa was like just gorgeous in what she was wearing. They had Lisa Jones, which is, a great thing, because I remember the controversy a couple years ago when she was first nominated for, I believe it was a Golden Globe, and nobody would dress her. And what's his name? Christian Soriano. Yeah, and made a dress for her, and he's been dressing her ever since. So any award shows that she goes to, anything like that, she's always wearing a dress made by him now. But like, I thought she looked amazing as well.
Oh yeah, she did. Like Ruth Carter, she is on point. The day that I can get my film made or whatever, and if I can get her to do the costuming, whatever it is, and I know Black Panther and this are probably her two standouts, but she's been in the game for a long time, and she's done costuming on a lot of different movies. So she is spectacular. I love her work. One of the other things I love also was the music, the soundtrack, and shout out, I mentioned them before, Sexual Chocolate made a cameo at the end. They had to be the wedding band, which was amazing. They still sound as good as they did.
Sexual Chocolate.
And what they say, that everybody looks at them like, I know this is not the band. Like, again, you're the king of the Zamunda, and you brought Sexual Chocolate.
Sexual Chocolate
to perform at the wedding.
Sexual Chocolate.
And then at the point where they were just like, fuck it. If you can't beat them, just join them. Sometimes you just got to give in. And now, you see, you've got me thinking about the whole no friends thing, because when he did, I remember when he said that, okay, we're going to do this again back in Zamunda, and then we're going to bring all of Queens. They still didn't bring Lavelle's friends.
Because he ain't had none. Eddie, you got to accept the fact. Lavelle didn't have no friends. His friends was his uncle and his mama's old ass friends, which is very, very sad.
Yeah.
Very sad.
I was about to say, poor Lavelle. I feel so bad for him now. You got me feeling bad for Lavelle, but I'm glad they fixed his hair, because that was a horrible haircut. He had like that 80s, 90s box thing happening at first. But Marimbe got him on point, especially when they cut off the rat tail. And I did love that. I loved at the end also where the girls just kicked ass. Mika and her sisters, they took down General Izzy and his men, so I did like that. And then one of my favorite parts was probably one of the most raunchiest parts of the movie. And that was his final test before he became prince, and he had to get circumcised.
Oh, I fast forward that.
That was funny. I was like, so you didn't see the part where he ate it. It turned out it wasn't at his actual penis, but it was a trick. It was a joke.
I thought it was a joke, but I just found it to be, I just fast forward. I was just like, I'm not about this life.
I thought it was funny. Of course I would, because, I do have a perv mind. I admit that. I have a perv mind. But, and I thought it was funny. So, anything else that you particularly enjoyed about the movie? The throwback to McDowell's, and he's still fighting with McDonald's.
That was the one thing I could have skipped over. Like I could have, they could have went without that. I'll be honest. No, I would just say that I really, really enjoyed it. I kind of went with very low expectations, and I think it ended up being really good. I will say that the funniest parts for me, like where I was like really like laughing out loud, was the after takes. When the credits were going and they were showing like them messing up and anything like that, like certain, like it was just funny to me on them messing up their lives and being like, or when Tiana was like, she was like, line. Just in the middle of her stage, she was like, line. And it was just like I found those to be funny. I'm not saying the movie wasn't funny, because it was, But I found it to be really funny afterwards, and then it ending on John Legend singing Queen to Be, and I was just like, oh, I was like, that was the best ending ever. That was the best ending ever. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I really did. So what are you gonna rate it?
Well, first, hold on. Should there be a sequel?
So what are you gonna rate it? No.
Should there? Wait, I'm not finished.
No.
Should there be a spin-off?
No, it's over. It's done. We're good.
I think, believe it or not, I agree with you. I think this is a good place to end it, unless you just completely did your own thing, found a different way to spin it off. But as far as this,
it was a popular classic,
but I did enjoy it.
People have been waiting for a sequel. He said he was going to do it years ago, and they were waiting for it. He finally delivered it, and he fulfilled his promise. So we good. Like, don't come out with a sequel. Don't come out with a spinoff. What are you spinning off from? For Lavelle? He didn't even grow up in Zamunda.
No, because again, I go back to what I understand the whole Lavelle thing, and I think it could have been spun a little differently to throw a wrench into the daughter. Like, so that storyline to me, the whole plot line was a little weak. I get it, I understand it, but again, I would have preferred it to be focused on Mika and her journey to become queen, and how Lavelle kind of threw that off. But that's just me, maybe. I get that. So no, Lavelle, I could do without a spinoff for him. I would probably focus it on the girls, honestly. But and before we get to the rating, just one more thing. They didn't mention Lisa and her sister or Mr. Soul Glow. Like, I was like, what? You couldn't get Eric LaSalle back? Does he still have the Jerry curl 30 years later? So I did miss that. I kind of would have liked to see where Lisa's sister and Mr. Soul Glow were at this point in time. But,
I would have preferred that over the dad.
So. And him bringing his McDowell's to Zamunda, and how his whatever it is, the McDurry is nothing like the McFlurry because they put their toppings on the bottom.
Yeah, I just rolled my eyes at those parts when he was talking about that.
But the dad, John Amos, he did come through with that good old James Evans advice, and throw back to good times for those who don't know who John Amos is, but never mind. He did come through with the good advice in the restaurant, so he served a purpose besides just being a throwback. All right, so rating. What would I rate it? Oh, you're making me go first this time, huh?
Yep.
I am going to give it a solid. I think I'm going to give it a solid 4. And a lot of that, even though I'm kind of iffy. I was thinking 3.5 to 4, but I'm gonna go for the 4 just because of the throwback. And when I think about the original movie, that we didn't talk a lot about, but that rating comes from a nostalgia sake. Plus, sexual chocolate. Let's give it up for sexual chocolate. My bad. Go ahead. What about you?
Oh gosh. So I was talking to my mom, and we were talking about how this would be considered like a classic Black movie. Like, we have a list of like classic movies, and if you ever looked up these classic movies, they're all movies of white people. So of course Black people got to make their own. So this would be a classic Black movie. Like, I am shocked when I meet a Black person who has never seen Coming to America. Like, I'm just like, are you serious? Like, how have you never seen this movie? Like, it's a rite of passage that you have to watch Coming to America.
Would you revoke their Black card?
Well, you've already told me months ago that I don't have a Black card anyway, so how am I gonna revoke somebody else's? But Eddie took my Black card away months ago, y'all, during quarantine. So sad, broke But yeah, like I even talk to like, young people, and I'm just like, there are certain movies that you absolutely need to see as a Black person, and Coming to America is one of them. So hopefully they actually listen. But I will say, I will agree with you, and I'm gonna give it a rating of 4 popcorns. Like, I didn't want it to feel it fully to the top because I felt like somebody was gonna bump into me and I was gonna have to go all Zamunda on them. So 4 popcorns is what I'm giving it. It is a classic. I enjoyed it. It was very nostalgic watching it because they brought back all the old characters that you loved from the first movie. They all showed up, even the old ass men in the barbershop that should already been dead, but just happened to still be alive. I love the fact that, like, Lisa was still strong-minded. Like, she didn't just, like, she wasn't timid and everything like that. Like, I just love the whole progressive concept of the movie as well. While he was very old school, the movie as a whole was like, yeah, there's certain things that you no longer can do, so we're gonna just point that out, that you can't do it anymore. So I would say 4 popcorns. I really enjoyed it, but please, it's done. It's over. Like, no more.
And before we end this, I've got to give a shout out. We talked about the clothes. We did not talk about the location. Shout out to Rick Ross. That was his house. That was his property that they the rapper Rick Ross. That was his house and his property that they shot The Palace on. So shout out to him and that badass crib of his. So but yeah, I agree with you on that. And that does it for us this week with Coming to America. We're going to wrap it up. And thank you for joining us as always. Be sure to tune in next week when we talk about Marvel's WandaVision. So excited. Can't wait. I'm really interested to see what you have to say about WandaVision. I am. Okay. And be sure, in the meantime, check us out daily on the popcornwinedown.com. That's our plug. Pop, 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 pop. We're definitely going to get a sound effect. I'm going to put that on my list of things to do to find us a good sound effect for that. And until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.